Hey, what's up guys, it's Unleashed here today, and ladies and gentlemen, it is that time once again where we have some brand new Sonic Frontiers 2 details which have leaked. And as opposed to the leaks in the previous videos, these ones in today's videos are actually fully confirmed. So, without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's take a look at the leaks at hand. Onto Twitter. We Sonic Rush 3D. So the leaks in today's video are coming from a person called Powiful. And the reason we know these leaks in today's videos are actually true is because this same person was involved in the footage leaks of Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. So we start off with OK Vegeta asking, any hints towards the next mainline game or plans for the 35th anniversary next year? Then Powiful responds with, November 2026 is going to be a pretty good month. Basically meaning that Sonic Frontiers 2, or whatever the sequel is going to be called, is going to be releasing in November 2026, basically next year. And there is a bit of discussion to be had about this release date because for starters, it will be 4 years after the original Sonic Frontiers, and some people have seen saying that, hang on, this is way too close of a date because, I mean, Sonic Forces and Sonic Frontiers were 5 years apart, and look how bad Frontiers was in terms of polish, so if this game's only taken 4 years, that's going to be awful, guys. Stop rushing the developers. And for starters, the 5 years that was spent on Sonic Frontiers' development weren't all spent on the actual final build we got of the game. Because a lot of Sonic Frontiers' development was them thinking of ideas, then actually continuing with the idea, then scrapping them halfway through to start again because they weren't good enough, and that kept going over and over again. But now that we're going with Sonic Frontiers 2 and Frontiers is already here, they already have a baseline for an idea for the sequel, so none of that time needs to be wasted spent scrapping an idea, or start a new one, or scrap it again. No, none of that. And then the other thing that we have to remember here is that Sonic Team has expanded greatly since the release of Sonic Frontiers 1. There are so many more developers working on Sonic Frontiers 2 right now than there were on Sonic Frontiers 1, meaning that once again, the game can be completed a whole lot faster because there's more manpower on there. And the manpower on Sonic Frontiers 2 as well is more experienced than last time because they've done the same thing before, they've got to do it again, but better now. So to all the people saying that, oh no, they can't release it next year, it's going to be an unfinished game, oh no, release it in 2028. Stop talking, mate, because nobody wants to sit here waiting another 3 years for a Sonic game. It's not GTA 7, mate. Relax. It's only a Sonic game. Anyways, next question from Roxo Chixo. Is Sonic Frontiers 2 going to be a big shift for the Sonic the Hedgehog mainline stuff? Then Ramona says, not necessarily, no. It's mostly going to be really attempting to get their vision of the open zone formula down. Then Caramel Smoothie asks, that was to be expected. Do you expect the scale of the project, both in the game itself and its marketing, to be similar to that of Sonic Frontiers or larger? If the latter, how much larger? It's going to be larger just simply due to the budget they're going to be working with now. But I wouldn't say it's going to be way larger. Let me explain a bit. Frontiers 2 is going to be a lot more focused. It'll be less all over the place and quality will be a higher priority. Development time is still largely in line with the recent Sonic projects, so a focus on quality is the big thing they're striving for. To put it simply, they want to refine the open zone experience, finalize the idea of the formula, and give it a proper send-off with the eventual third title that'll come after. Frontiers was an awkward experiment. Consider this then pushing what they learned, what worked, etc. into action, and rethinking the things that didn't work, while taking some player feedback into account. Player feedback is what made Final Horizon what it was, after all. And I must say, this is exactly what I wanted to hear with Sonic Frontiers 2. It's not going to be a whole massive change of the formula once again, no. They're going to take what worked in Sonic Frontiers 1 and just do it better simply. That's all it's going to be, and I'm happy for this idea, honestly. Because I'm personally a big fan of how Sonic Frontiers worked. Like, the gameplay loop was fine, like obviously having all the established portals there, then you got the combat in there, exploration, a bit of platforming in the form of the rail grinding stuff in the sky, but then obviously you got things that didn't quite work, like the big fishing thing. As an idea, it's not bad, but I don't like how it was so easy to just basically skip like half the content in the game by just fishing. I don't think that was really all that great. And then in terms of the puzzles, a lot of them were just a big miss, to be honest with you. Like, why are we just standing on squares in a 3D Sonic game released in 2022? This ain't a mobile game, bro. It's supposed to be a AAA video game, so why are we doing this? And then when it comes to the level up system and obviously all the physics sliders or whatever, again, it's just very unnecessary because it just kind of limits what you can actually do for the rest of the game. Because when making platforming challenges and combat challenges or whatever, you've always got to factor in what if they're playing on the worst possible settings or setup in the game. And thankfully, as we saw in Shadow Generations and in this information right here, yeah, they are simply refining what worked in Sonic Frontiers and then getting rid of or further improving what didn't work in the original Frontiers as well. And when I was first playing Sonic Frontiers after beating Giganto and then Wyvern afterwards, I was really just sat there thinking, this might be my new favourite Sonic game game, even beating Sonic Unleashed, but then obviously on a replay, I realized that the game is a bit flawed like halfway through. But the fact that I even sat there and considered that this game might be better than Sonic Unleashed should be a big indicator of how good this formula truly is. So if they could actually just perfect it in Sonic Frontiers 2, easily the best Sonic game of all time right there. Because we even saw improvements, not even in Shadow Generations, but in the Final Horizon in terms of the platforming or whatever. Like the puzzles were better in there, platforming was a whole lot better, combat was kind of better, they kind of went overboard I think too there. And then even the cyberspace levels were even better in Final Horizon as well. Like pretty much everything was better in some way, shape or form in Final Horizon. So imagine them refining that even further in the sequel. It's going to be huge, man. It's going to be huge. But anyways, carrying on, would you be able to go into further detail regarding the some player feedback? Or is this as much detail as you can go into? It's a bit more broad because I'm not entirely sure. Small things and big things. I know combat is a highlight and something they want to work on. Same for movement, and same for the typical Sonic stages. I think they started to address this fairly well with Shadow Generations. And once again, more news that I want to be hearing. I personally thought that the combat in Sonic Frontiers, in terms of the actual enemy design, I thought it was alright. But the combat system itself had some major flaws, so the fact that once again they're refining that in the sequel is all great news. And in terms of the traditional Sonic stages, again, good to see they're not scrapping that idea because it's such a genius idea. Having a massive open world like exploring with traditional Sonic stages in there, it's just genius, man. It's such a good formula and I'm just so happy they're actually sticking with it for the sequel. I will say though, I do hope these new traditional Sonic levels won't be like cyberspace in terms of the length. I think they should honestly just compromise and have less levels but have each individual level be longer and more meaty compared to the previous cyberspace levels we got in Frontiers 1. Because I do not care what anybody says, a 3D Sonic level can't be short if it wants to have an impact on you. There's always a limit that needs to be reached in terms of the length of a Sonic level, and unfortunately, most of cyberspace in Frontiers didn't reach that bar. So like I said already, just compromise. Have less levels but have them be longer. Thank you for answering these questions. I want to know one more thing. Will Frontiers 2 carry over the more serious vibes of Frontiers 1? Same with the photorealistic / natural atmospheres. I think there'll be a better balance. I don't know anything about plot, but I know the tone was an issue for some of the player base, probably something they want to address. Now personally, I hope they don't lose all of the realism from Sonic Frontiers because I don't think that going full cartoony will really work for a modern Sonic game nowadays. Because in my opinion, there is a fine line between having it be stylized and having it be full on cartoony. And I really just hope that we don't go too far into the cartoony aspect of it all because in my personal opinion, the way people were gassing up Dream Team's visuals saying that, oh my god, it looks so much better than Sonic Frontiers, and I just don't really understand why, because it's basically like a less impressive Lost World in my eyes. For me personally, the ideal Sonic art style is honestly just combining Sonic Generations' visuals with the Shadow Generations like human designs for Maria and Gerald pretty much. I'm obviously not saying that those were perfect, obviously if you're going to go back to those, obviously touch them up a bit, but those ideally are what I think Sonic should pretty much just look like. Right, here's a big one. Do you know if there are any plans to modify models or brand image? I've heard from other leakers who have said that. I believe so, yes, although I don't know any deets. I don't think it'll be a crazy initiative or anything though. Now, that does sound good, but the question is, how big will these changes be to these models? Because as we know, the models in Sonic Frontiers and whatnot, they are awful. They have so many issues that need to be fixed, like the shape of the ears or whatever, no muzzle curve, the colour of Sonic's skin, because ugh, why does he look like that? He actually looks so ill here, like, give Sonic some melanin back, please. And I could basically go on and on about the problems with these current day models. So with the sequel to Sonic Frontiers getting brand new models, the question is though, just how much will they actually change? Because it can change some stuff but then leave some of the other bigger problems there, and that wouldn't really be ideal even though it is technically an improvement. At this point, if they're going to change the models at all, they might as well just go all the way. Do exactly every single change that needs to be done, because we've had the same image and look for Sonic for so many years and it's just getting old, man. It's been flawed for 20 years and it just needs to be changed, man. It really does. So hopefully when these new models do come around, we can actually see a lot of our problems fixed that we had with them before. And then here's another big one. Specific question. Who will write the next mainline Sonic game? Ian Flynn isn't going anywhere. Oh no, Ian Flynn's back. And I mean, come on, did we really think otherwise? I mean, why would they get rid of Ian Flynn? It literally makes zero sense. We don't need Ian Flynn to be gone. What we instead need to happen is to have more people on the writing team, because currently Ian Flynn is doing everything by himself, and of course, nobody is perfect, so he needs some people by his side to consult what he's doing and say, hang on, Flynn, change this thing real quick, bro, because it's not up to scratch, or yeah, bro, like this, keep going with this, and stuff like that, basically. Because Ian Flynn, he is a talented writer. I can see it in stuff like Shadow Generations and Sonic Frontiers, but obviously he isn't perfect. Stuff like the way he writes Amy and whatever, it can be touched up a bit here and there because it's not too great sometimes. So let's get a full-on writing team. Do not get rid of Ian Flynn, because why get rid of talent? That's just stupid, right? But yeah, that is pretty much it for all the leaks in today's video, but not for this video itself, because recently, Sonic Team has released some brand new animation tests that they've been doing in the background. And it's basically them testing out some brand new technology they're actually using to make better animations in their games. And the tests begin with this first clip right here, with Sonic doing some crazy, strange stuff in Lost Palace from Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. And this first clip isn't great, I will say, except for the last couple seconds when Sonic just looks up to the camera. That bit looks cool, but yeah, I think there's a bit too much stretching and squashing, and it just looks a bit rough. But the reason it looks rough is because it's an animation test. This isn't how it's going to be implemented in the next mainline Sonic game. No, all this is them testing out the limits of what they can do with this whole new set of technology that they got now. But the next test we have right here is something quite familiar, actually. One of the cutscenes from Sonic Generations. And interestingly, the model used here is actually an edited version of the Forza/Frontiers model, but with different quill placements. And I mean, it's interesting. It's not the Sonic Generations model, but it's got longer quills here, so that's something, right? But yeah, with this one, I don't think there's anything too different from the original Generations cutscene, so I think this is the least impactful one. But just a quick side note here, though, the materials on Sonic's fur here look so much better than they did in Sonic Frontiers, because even though I didn't hate them in Sonic Frontiers, they did kind of look like a bit of like carpety for some reason. So what we see right here looks a lot more natural and actually like fur, so big fan of this, man, big fan. And then for the last clip, we get a cool little animation test with Sonic versus the Death Egg robot. And before talking about the animation, I must say, the camera work here is actually pretty impressive. It's pretty good, actually, won't lie. But then in terms of animation here, this is much better than what we saw in the first clip and the second clip, because they don't go too crazy with all the stretching and squashing and everything. It does it a decent amount. Obviously, again, not perfect, but again, they can just polish it up. This is, once again, them testing stuff out. So yeah, this all just looks pretty good right here. And if they can implement this in Sonic Frontiers 2, then it's going to be crazy, man. They literally have all the ingredients to make a perfect Sonic game right now. And I just hope they don't mess it up, because it's going to be really disappointing if they do mess it up. But yeah, that about does it for today's video then. So yeah, Sonic Frontiers 2 coming out November 2026. Basically a refined Sonic Frontiers 1. Sonic Team is testing out new technology to make the animations better. Like, on paper, this game should be amazing. On paper, so we'll see how the final product is actually going to turn out. But let me know your thoughts on these leaks. Are you hyped for the game based on this or not? Let me know down below. Love to see what you guys have to say. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, especially that last one. Don't forget to become unleashed, pressing that join button down below. And remember, it's not necessary. And I will see you all next time. Peace.